I like my chicken finger licking good.
We've tried other places, but we've always come back to Kentucky Fried Chicken.
We come up every day.
I like my chicken finger licking good.
Welcome to Marketing Murder Mysteries. I'm your host, Michael Graham. Joining me, as usual, is the team of the Millennium Agency, Linda Fanera, CEO and Chief Strategist. Linda.
Hello, Michael.
And he wants to put a chicken in every pot, Rob Atkinson, Managing Director. Rob, how are you?
Glad to be here, Michael.
Advertising and marketing pros see it all the time. Brands getting killed in the marketplace, sometimes due to their own miscalculations, and sometimes by events beyond their control, like the novel coronavirus, better known as COVID-19. COVID-19 is having huge ramifications for brands that promote unsanitary practices, allegedly. Case in point, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Could it be that KFC has to change its marketing approach due to the COVID-19 coronavirus panic? You're going to hear the case from our marketing detectives, and then you can hand down your own verdict. This week we discuss, did the coronavirus murder Colonel Sanders? Now, Rob, we have to stop right there because we all know who murdered Colonel Sanders. It was Miss Scarlet in the kitchen with a candlestick, right, Linda? Didn't we figure that out?
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. But you say that KFC is uniquely endangered. One of the world's most popular brands, by the way. There are KFCs all over the world, China, Russia, anywhere you go, there's a KFC. But you say that they are uniquely endangered by coronavirus. Why?
Yes. So Yum Brands owns Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they recently had to pull their finger licking good television campaign. Why? Because viewers complain that the ads encourage customers to lick their hands. It's finger licking good, right? But in the age of coronavirus, it's kind of suicide to be licking your fingers right now. So I think it's the coronavirus has really played havoc on the KFC brand and Yum Brands altogether.
Before we get to Linda, I just got to ask. So people are actually complaining. This isn't a thing. This isn't like one of their competitors, maybe someone at Popeyes or Bojangles spreading the word. This is a real thing.
Yeah, it started in Great Britain, and people started complaining on social media that this was terribly irresponsible, that Kentucky Fried Chicken should be promoting people licking their hands when the coronavirus is going on, and it became such an uproar that it started in Great Britain, and then it went all the way around the world, and they started pulling all their ads.
So what I thought was really interesting about that as well is they were running TV and billboard campaigns, and they had those developed by this agency, Mother London. And this finger licking good campaign generated about 163 complaints. And they had launched this like it was just bad timing. It was like the late February, and they're basically saying it just doesn't feel like right now is the right time to be running these ads. So we have to pull them.
So I remember back during the Democratic presidential primary when it was a 2,700 person race or whatever it was, and Mike Bloomberg had gotten in. There was that infamous clip of him at a campaign event, and he's back, I think, with a box of pizza, and he sticks his hand in and out of the pizza a couple of times. But even then, I don't think anyone said that that's what killed Mike Bloomberg's presidential hopes, despite the fact that he spent nearly $1 billion to win like 60 delegates. It's just hard for me as a civilian to believe that with something as established as finger licking good, that even in the era of the coronavirus, people would be bothered by it and that marketers would have to adjust.
Well, I think it's the new world we're living in. The social distancing has gone to a heightened state. Really, I mean, I was in the supermarket the other day, and it was almost like a game of Twister. Everybody was 6 feet apart from each other, handing things one to another, bending over, trying to put it in the cart without, violating someone's space. And so, all of this hyperactivity. Linda says it's only 160 complaints that initially started it. But there's only been several thousand deaths, so every complaint is valid because the COVID-19 can be so deadly to people.
And I don't know about you, Michael, or if you've even been in the supermarket lately, but when I went in there, I actually had the exact same experience, that it was just an odd experience. Walking into the grocery store, it was like all of a sudden everybody had leprosy, and it's like, okay, I'm going to look this way, you look that way. Okay, I'm going to walk down this aisle, you walk down that aisle. So the entire process of just living everyday life is changing. And what's happening with these larger brands is that they have to take a careful look at what they're running for campaigns and make adjustments. I mean, there was even a simple one with Hershey, and they had this heartwarming the world campaign. That didn't fit at all with the precautions that's being taken now around social distancing. So they've had to make some adjustments around that. They had to replace them with other ads that, sort of take those pieces out until some of this actually goes away. And it's really interesting, because those are the types of emotional connections that agencies use, to build affinity around a product. And now they're being required to take a hard look at that and make changes.
Well, I'm trying to figure out your story about the grocery store, because people have always treated me that way in the grocery store. I didn't know. Is this a thing?
Was that you I saw in there? Okay, all right, that makes sense.
I didn't know. I was just everyone always looks away from me when I'm at the. I don't know. So you mentioned the Hershey's ad. Could you explain a little bit of what that campaign was about and what the objections were?
Yeah, they had this like heartwarming the world campaign, and basically, it's two spots that were developed, and they were showing people, handing out Hershey bars with big hugs and handshakes and so on and so forth. And those were the ads that were like, okay, that doesn't work anymore. That doesn't line up with, the top five of what we're supposed to be doing today. So we have to replace those ads. And I think everybody has to take a look at what they're doing and make adjustments.
Well,
so you may have helped me understand the grocery store story, because I go around giving people hugs randomly who I don't know. Now I know why they were all skirting away from me at the grocery store. Rob, what are some other campaigns that have had to deal with the unintended marketing consequences of coronavirus?
Yeah, there's been several. By the way, the official ad campaign of Hershey's was called "Give a Hug and a Handshake," which is really not a good. That's really unfortunate. So, other ones that had to be pulled. Geico recently pulled their ad called "The Perfect High Five," teaching people how to go around and give each other the high five right now is probably not a good idea. Sonic ads, those two guys in the car who are eating and fighting, not PC in a social distancing world. They were too close together, so they had to kill that ad. Coors actually.
Wait. So you mean that there are people who want those two annoying guys to survive the coronavirus? I didn't realize that they existed. So okay.
Well, maybe if they were in two separate cars. Interesting though, I read an adage that drive-ins have had resurgence lately because everyone can still go out and get food and they're safe in their cars. But the other one that I thought was pretty funny was Coors recently suspended their campaign, and it was titled "The Official Beer of Working Remotely," which I thought was interesting because I thought it was actually clever, but apparently you can't even make jokes in this time. It's just too soon. And I think that the best example, Michael, and I know you're going to have a heart attack over this one, is Cadbury. They had to pull their Easter egg ad because it showed an Easter egg hunt, and Easter egg hunts don't encourage social distancing. Kids running around together, grabbing eggs, grabbing from each other's baskets. Can't do that in the age of COVID-19.
You take the instances where social distancing is being impacted through some of the ads that are being presented now, but there's other scenarios where Lysol has also been running some ads as well. They continued with their ads around wipes and sprays, and guess what? You can't get them. They don't need ads. So they're actually under fire for actually running these ads. They're like, okay, odd to see Lysol disinfectant wipes running ads on TV. Poor look on many levels. Reminds everyone they're out of stock. And that's also, another thing where these companies need to take a look at their ad campaigns and decide, does this make sense at this time? Let's not just set it and forget it. And that's what a lot of companies do. They don't put focus on their ad campaigns pretty much 24/7 and adjust to any market fluctuations. Then these are the types of, this is the type of backlash that they'll be faced with.
Yeah, so it's
I've seen nonstop toilet paper ads because my wife watches the kinds of channels that have toilet paper ads and the kind of shows that have toilet paper ads. And since I'm just the man, I have to watch what she watches. So, and I've been thinking the same thing as, why am I seeing so many toilet paper ads when you can't buy toilet paper?
No, you can't. You still can't.
Actually, I was in Walmart yesterday. I found some, thank God. But
You're
it's
lucky.
a different story. But, the thing I wanted to bring up about your point, Linda, and it's a good one, is that, not only on the television, but the social media is so critical. I mean, you've got to really be monitoring the messaging on social media right now to make sure that what you pumped into it in January is still relevant today. Because a lot of these ad campaigns are done, months in advance. So it's a really good point.
Yeah, and I
want to ask, but I want to ask a broader question, and because this podcast is, for people who have to help with marketing in a company where they don't have a marketing firm. And of course, they all should call Millennium Agency right away and solve that problem. But people are trying to do their marketing themselves. Is I can hear people going, "Oh, come on, Kentucky Fried Chicken's been finger licking good for whatever. It's always been finger licking good. If you started a campaign now, hey, whatever." Come try our pizza. It's body part licking good. Okay, I can see that's a dumb move. But are people really going to punish a brand for what, of lack of a better term, you might call a pre-existing condition? In other words, these are the marketing hooks. 99% of the time they work. We're now in this odd moment. Should you tamper with something as iconic as, finger licking good, have a Coke and a smile, I would be reluctant to say I'm going to change something for these temporary times if I have a well-established message for my business.
Michael, I think that's a great point, but you look back at some of our recent podcasts and I want to draw your attention to aged chocolate. Now, aged chocolate was a great brand at the time. It promoted weight loss using AIDS, but it turned out that no longer became a relevant message that consumers could condone because of the AIDS epidemic. And what we're seeing today mirrors what's happening with the aged chocolate back in the 70s.
No, and I think, and that's actually that is a good point. And to your question, the answer is yes, they do need to make the adjustments, because guess what people are doing today? They are working from home. They are on social media. They are tied to the news, and they have an opinion, and they will express their opinion through social media in any opportunity they can get. So this would be the time during this really sensitive time where they will actually state their opinion and make a big deal out of it. So I think the companies, large brands in particular, even small, really have to be sensitive to what is going on today and make the necessary adjustments.
Well, my last question for you, both of you, then is it possible for a brand, a business, to take a hiatus from its brand and come back due to issues? For example, Tylenol, they were the victim of one of the worst things. Someone chose to use them to spread poison, and it caused all kinds of problems. It changed the entire way we sell over-the-counter, drugs. And they did nothing wrong, but they were stuck with it. So they had to deal with it and with the branding. And so they had to change for a while. But when it was over, they were back as, Tylenol, headache medicine. You pop up a couple pills, you buy a bottle, etc. Or do you think that something's happening where we're going to see fundamental shifts where certain branding messages from the Walmart greeter, which is, think about it, their messages: hi, you come in the store, we confront you. Hey, we're here. Hi, let me shake your hand and wave and say hi and get close to you. All the way to local mom and pop shops who pride themselves on personal connection, personal, attention. That's now not viable. Are they going to return, or is that model just going to change?
I think it's going to change for the time being, because there's going to be actually pent up demand for people to lick their hands after all this is done. People are going to there's going to be such demand for people going out and going to places as favorites like Kentucky Fried Chicken, where they can do things like that, because they haven't been allowed to do that for so long, that I think actually you can switch back to it. I mean, it's not like their name is COVID-19 chicken. It's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, so they're not linked to it. They're linked to one of the actions needed to prevent it, not the disease, which is the problem with the aged chocolate, was it had AIDS in its name. If Kentucky Fried Chicken was COVID-19 chicken, I think they'd have a problem. But I think they're good right now. I think they'll go back to it and people will be happy.
And now is not the time to, yes, should you make adjustments to your campaign? Absolutely. If they don't line up properly with the current market conditions and what's going on, they should be adjusted. But the thought of actually removing or canceling your ad budget, definitely not. That's a whole nother topic.
And it is. It's a topic for a future podcast. But there you have it for today. The case of, did Colonel Sanders die from the coronavirus? You've heard the cases being made, and now it's time for you to give your verdict. Let us know your thoughts at mill.agency/verdict, or slide into our DMs on Twitter at millagency. We will read the best ones on a future episode. Make sure to never miss a mystery by subscribing to us on Apple Podcast, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or your podcatcher of choice. For Rob and Linda, I am Michael Graham. We'll see you next time. For now, the case is closed.